black or white, male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight. What's the difference? Number 14 and number 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. Welcome to the 14 and 41 Unity Show.
Hello, I'm Alexis Hornbuckle, number 14.
And I'm Matt Gersper, number 41.
And I'm Bakari Grant, number 84. We're all different, but we're made from the same stuff.
Right on, Bakari. So we're broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, and are excited for you to meet our guest, Bakari Grant. Welcome, Bakari. 14 and I are super excited to have you on the 14 and 41 Unity Show.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Why don't you just take a few minutes, tell our audience what good you're doing in the world these days.
Good I'm doing in the world these days. Well, first, I woke up my kids this morning and, I claim that I'm a good father and I try to make that affirmation every day. So I would say that's the first good I'm doing is trying to enhance my kids' lives. But outside of that, getting heavy into some healthcare business, doing some design builds for a pretty amazing unit that we're going to use to help house seniors and hopefully help relieve some of the stress caused from this COVID epidemic and some of the health issues that are among our senior demographic.
Awesome. So take us back 10 years. What did your world look like 10 years ago in 2010?
10 years ago, 2010, and we're at the end of 2010 or pushing towards the fourth quarter. So I have just been, I think, brought back to the 49ers at this time. My first year in the league, it was a different experience, no kids, fresh out of college. Thought I knew more than I did and, just trying to figure things out. But it was a really good time for me. It was a really good experience. I was back in the Bay Area where I was born and raised, playing for the pro team that I idolized as a kid, watching Jerry Rice grow up. And I was a Raiders fan, so it was a switch of sides. But I joke now that the only way I was a 49ers fan is because they were signing my checks. So I'm still a Raider at heart, still a big Jack Tatum fan, but definitely got a place in my heart with the 49ers.
Yeah, Raiders. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
Bakari, give us a future view. 10 years from now, what's your life going to be?
Whoa, 10 years from now, man.
2030.
I'm trying to figure out what's happening next week. But so 2030, I would say that means my daughter's out the house. She's 18. She's figuring out making me dig deep here. But I would say I'd still have a pretty big hand in the community. Throughout my career, I really got into some community work. Obviously, growing up in Oakland, I saw I was a beneficiary of some great community give back. And I think pushing over the next few years, I'll dive pretty heavy into that. I'll still be doing business with my family members, some great friends. Graduated from Davis, and we have a great alumni. So like Matt Gersper, I'll probably be incorporated somewhere there with some Aggie alumni as well.
Awesome. So you've seen my 41 picture, right?
Yes.
And you've seen the intensity in my strong safety eyes?
I couldn't really tell. I think it was in black and white, so it was a little tough to.
All right, there's intensity there. And here's the question. Here's the question. If I was playing a jam technique on you, do you think you could even get off the line of scrimmage?
Well, most people would just avoid. For you, Matt, I think I would try to go straight through you, low and high. I was never a finesse guy. I was a defensive-minded receiver. I could have played safety, I think, but I was known in my career for being a little bit aggressive, and I think I would have went straight at you, and we would have had a good time.
There you go. All right, Alexis, why don't you help me out here? Take over.
Bakari, first off, I grew up as a 49ers fan, so I'm happy to hear about you playing for the 49ers.
Oh, man.
Raiders heart, I'm a Raiders fan at heart, but I'll let that slide, okay? Uh, so I'm really wondering, like, what was your initial response when you first heard about RAFRU? And then what do you think about, like, the site, our website, our team gear? And what are your hopes by sharing your unity story and joining our mission to improve the unity of the world one person at a time?
Yeah, so Matt brought the concept of RAFRU to me at the kind of the height of what I say was a reaction to George Floyd's murder. And there was definitely a need for some type of action. Not that it was unwarranted before, but just at where the country was at such a place of disconnect and discontinuity. What I really appreciate about RAFRU is it brings every different aspect of life together, no matter what it's for, but to say that there's a lot more similarities between us than there are differences. And I think at times we tend to forget that. So that's what I appreciate so much about the RAFRU mission, is that it focuses on our unity versus our differences. As far as what I want to contribute, I've had some great unity stories. I've connected with all kind of people, playing in Canada, playing at Davis, being from Oakland. I think I have a unique perspective on the world, as well as every one of my teammates. So I think if I could bring that unique perspective and help one or two people just by giving that perspective, that's how I want to give back.
Absolutely. Awesome. Did you get a chance to kind of check the gear out? I know Matt has a shirt on. Yeah, like, you know, you see the logo. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong way. Sometimes it's
I was gonna say, I was gonna wear mine. I was gonna wear mine too, but I think it's slow in the mail or something. It has to. I think it got slowed down. Yeah. I would honestly. I've done some design work in the past. My degree's in interior architecture, but I went through a design major. So if I got the opportunity to design a shirt, I would love to do that and then add my piece to it as well.
Hey, that's an awesome. Matt, we're gonna have to take him up on that.
Yeah,
please do.
Let's do it. That'd be great.
Please do.
All right. So you gave us, it's really an inspiring unity story, and it's about perspective and the rules of engagement. Yeah. So Bakari, just share a little with our viewers and listeners, not too much, just enough so they'll want to rush out and read it as soon as the show's over. Give
Absolutely. Us a teaser. I'm a teaser. Well, I think my story included a few characters. Guys, one second. I'm gonna make sure. There. You guys got characters, some bad guys, some good guys, antagonists, protagonists. A guy named Caretaker Bob, if you can imagine what that character is like. But some people that had some really big influence in my life. And the rules of engagement are kind of some rules that you know are invisibly posted up in every football locker room, and it's some good stuff. I think people will be excited to hear about how my perspective was changed from someone that most people wouldn't associate with the football locker room.
So what's one or two top messages that you expect or you would hope a reader would take away from your story?
I would say the biggest message is to leave yourself the opportunity for perspective. So leave yourself open to accept a viewpoint that you never thought existed. I think that's been the biggest lesson that I've taken away from locker rooms is there's this idea about culture, and it's talked about a lot now in business and family and in locker rooms. And honestly, I think at some point I'll give my perspective and my story a little bit longer drawn out about my viewpoint on winning culture versus non-winning culture. And the biggest thing is that perspective comes from the top down, from my situation, and the things that I got to learn from a man that I would have never thought I would have crossed paths with. Changed my life completely as far as my perspective on things that I thought were negative.
Very good. All right, one more question about your unity story, and it's what's been your experience since you started, when I asked you to write it, and you started thinking about writing it, then actually putting pen to paper, and now reflecting back on your journey as an athlete, but also as a family man and a businessman. So what are your feelings as you've decided to share your unity story with the world?
I think it's like when you get any tough question or assignment, you kind of start digging around in your brain in these memories, and all these things pop up, all these situations pop up, all these people start to pop up and populate in your head. And honestly, when I first put my pen to paper, so to speak, it was a computer, so it was a little bit different. But when I put my fingers to keyboard, what happened was this timeline from when I was 8 years. I started playing football when I was 8, so I went from this timeline from 8 to 31 years old and all these different experiences. And I tried to take the top 5 and just quick jot them out. Okay, what were they? What were the situations? What was the outcome? And then I ended on the story that I did because what I would consider is the uncommonality of the outcome and the experience. And hopefully it shows that, I could have taken a million different situations that people would have been familiar with when they hear about football stories, but I tried to take something that influenced my life outside of football and brought in some aspects that were some tough issues that I think we're going through today. So there's a million of things that popped in my head, and I think the big takeaway for me was just reflection on some of those lessons and some of the people that I was able to encounter throughout my career.
Well, you did a great job. I loved it. Very inspiring. So Bakari, we're going to take a quick commercial break to tell everyone about 3 things. A super amazing health device called Zona Plus, how they can get a $50 discount online, and how their purchase will help support a big donation to WITV7.
Absolutely.
Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Zona Plus, the world's first software-controlled handheld device that improves cardiovascular health. You're going to love it too. I use mine almost every day to keep my blood pressure right where it should be. What surprised me, though, is this little device has been adding muscle to my biceps too. I walk around all day feeling pumped. Check them out at Zona.com. Use coupon code HAPPY for $50 off. Plus, for every order placed during the month of October, I'll donate another $50 to WITV7.
Welcome back to the 14 and 41 Unity Show. I would definitely like to give a big shout out to our October sponsors, Zona Plus and Happy Living. Bakari, let's get straight back to the questions for you. My question is, how have the lessons you learned as an athlete, in particular your Unity lessons, helped you to become a better and more successful person?
I would say the direct influence has been, again, I'll bring it back to the word perspective. When you think about teams and you think about the culture that a team creates, I think that's influenced me the most. It's taught me what a true leader is. It's not just telling people what to do, but showing them how to do it. Some of the leaders, as far as GMs, owners, coaches, other players, mentors that I've experienced throughout football, have taught me about how to develop culture. And it's truly through leadership and leading by example. And I would say that's been the biggest impact it's had in my personal life.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Matt?
All right. Here's a line from your story that I really loved. It says, quote, "We talk about real life issues, sports, death, family, and just about anything else you can think of. Sometimes the conversations are shallow and sometimes they're deep. Sometimes funny and sometimes sad. Some are inspiring and others heartbreaking, but they're always in full color and between real people." Beautiful. So will you share a cherished story from one of your teams that inspired you to write that and this last part of it? Some of my most introspective conversations and debates and growth moments have happened between locker room doors.
Absolutely.
Take us there.
I mean, if you can imagine, again, that's 23 years of my life have been spent in the football locker room. So I've got to experience a wide range of life. And I would say from early on, I mean, the jokes and the hard times that I faced with teammates as far as just life, trying to, from, some of my teammates not having food to eat that night or going through tough times with their family. Again, as a kid, the most memorable times I had was playing a game we call throw up tackle, which is you play it before practice and one guy has the ball and everybody chases them down and tackles them. It's a lot more fun in the mud. And that takes me back to my childhood. Those are some of the good times. And, throughout my career, we've experienced teammates getting arrested on the field, teammates getting murdered, and teammates who have gotten married. So from all those experiences and the necessity for us to kind of talk through them and deal with them as a family has helped me grow. One of the most impactful, I would say, and life-changing experiences has been was in 2016 when one of my teammates got shot and murdered during the season. So we had to understand and reach a decision as a team on how we wanted to move forward. And the one thing that was consistent amongst all the players, white, black, Hispanic, or anything in between, was that we're a family and we have each other's backs, and whatever we need to do to rehabilitate, to recover from, what was one of the most tragic moments in a lot of our lives, was to band together and to stick together and to lean on family. So I would say that's probably one of the most impactful moments of my football career.
Wow.
And so that's unbelievable. And that's what happens when we have tragedy, we come together, right?
Yeah.
Give us another story as that influenced what you ended up writing about, and how we are, what was your quote? We were just real people, right? We're all real people.
Yeah.
So give us another one, put us in another locker room where there was a moment of unity that is really strong in your memory.
So I would say back in 2013, same team that I wrote about in my Unity story, and we had to go through this experience of a new locker room or a new facility. But in that transition, we had to endure one of the toughest schedules that we have seen. We had to play on the road the entire season, and even our home games were about an hour and a half away where we had to bus. So we had to bus to practice, bus to the game, no real home field advantage. But again, from the top down, what it showed was that through great leadership, one, and two, a determination, we ended up doing something that year that nobody expected us to do, and that was to go to the championship game. And the only reason we were able to do that is because, again, going through some of those hard times, there was no excuses from the top down. It was all of us together again. And what it really showed me was that from our ownership, I mean, the owner of the team down to the players, down to the equipment staff, to the trainers, everybody had the same mission in their heads, and we all came from the same place and spoke the same mission, and that was to get to the championship no matter what we had to go through. So that was probably the most we had to, from everything from bus breakdowns on the way to practice to rained out games to where the field wasn't designed to be played on a football game, that just kind of brought us together as people. And we had, again, a ton of stories on those bus rides, things that I remember to this day. I could text a guy 2 words and he know exactly what I'm talking about, start cracking up laughing. So
we got a minute for that story, because so when you started thinking about it, a big smile came over your face. Just that story.
So a real quick story, and it was a game we played probably almost every other day. We called it practice trivia, and it was basically we played a trivia game similar to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on the way to practice on the bus. One of my great teammates, Henry Burris, Hank, Smiling Hank, kind of led the game, and he has this big announcer voice, and he lead the game, and we asked any question you can imagine, from the bottom up, from the start of the bus ride to the finish, and guys would just be cracking up the whole time. And it was a very fun game. One, it gave us insight about what we really learned in college, and then some real life stuff. So that was a good time.
Awesome. All right, Bakari, now it's prediction time. Which of your teammates from that team on that bus or another team, which of your teammates you can think of right now will follow your lead and share their unity story with us?
Man, I could probably think about 3 or 4 guys, but Henry obviously would be one guy that I would definitely. He's a Temple guy and a real good dude. Now he's into commentating and doing some sports analyst stuff. I think he's getting into coaching as well. But I think he has some great life experiences. As a black quarterback, going to Canada has been historically a great move for black quarterbacks as far as opportunity. And he kind of lived within that transition to where now we're seeing very diverse culture, or slightly more diverse culture in the NFL as far as a quarterback position. So I think he would have some great experiences that he would love to share.
Right on. What's his name?
Henry Burris.
Henry Burris.
Smiling Hank. Yeah.
Smiling Hank, the one you were talking about. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's time for a segment that I've just named. Alexis haven't heard this yet.
Nope.
But we call it Fun Time with 14.
Okay.
So,
I like it.
Go over 14.
Thank you, 41. I appreciate it. All right, Bakari, check this out. For the next couple minutes, I'm just going to fire off questions off the top of my head, okay? You have about 3 to 5 seconds to answer. So the first thing that pops up in your head, it got to come out your mouth, all right? No matter how funny or embarrassing. I like to start slow. I'll ease you into it. How old were you when you first started playing sports?
8 or 2, 5, 4. I don't know. I've been in sports my whole life. It's a family thing.
I got you. Understood. If you didn't play football, what sport would you have played?
Basketball, which is probably true. I don't know. Basketball, yeah.
Basketball. What is your proudest moment outside of sports that doesn't include, like getting married, having kids?
Outside of sport, I would say graduating from college.
Nice. What was your degree in?
Interior architecture.
That's right. You did say that. Sorry about that. What was your most embarrassing sports moment?
Most embarrassing. One time I hit a guy in high school so hard, snot popped out of my nose, and I had to walk around and guys tell me that snot was hanging out of my nose. So pretty embarrassing. Actually, no, I take that back. Most embarrassing moment. My 2017, I was going in for a touchdown, and on the Canadian field, there's a number of set of lines going into the end zone. I thought I scored. I was on the 1-yard line. Guy punched the ball out, and I fumbled right on the 1-yard line. Yeah, and I kind of started walking, so it was bad. It was bad.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. If you can live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
California.
What was your favorite team that you ever played for at any level?
Favorite team? Oh, that's a tough one. I would say Oakland Dynamite's Pop Warner, and that's probably more nostalgic than anything else.
Pop Warner, I'd love to hear it. Okay. What is your most memorable on-field moment?
Most memorable on-field moment. It's actually a kind of a bittersweet, but it was 2012. I was going for a scramble drill, went to catch the ball. Henry Burris is actually throwing me the ball. I went to go for a catch and then got laid out. But what was memorable is the running back that came and helped me up, Avon Colburn, is a guy that I look up to a lot. But he came through, grabbed my hand, lifted me up. I jogged off the field. That was definitely the hardest hit I've ever taken in life, and probably will be the hardest hit I ever taken in life. I hope it is.
You hope it is. Well, glad you're still standing. Who was your favorite quarterback to play for?
Oh, that's tough. You're putting me on the spot there.
Yep.
Zach Colaros is probably one of my personal favorites. Kevin Glenn is probably outside of sports one of my favorites. And then as far as in the game, Hank probably threw me the best deep ball I've ever got thrown in my life.
Got you. Hey, listen, you handled that so well. Some people get a little nervous. You knocked it out the park. Thank you for having a little fun with me. I appreciate it.
I cheated on that last one. If you notice, I cheated. I threw in 3 different people.
Yeah, you did. You didn't give me one. I just thought it was just that type of experience. You couldn't really narrow it down.
Yeah.
But Before we start to get to the close of the show, I would like to ask you to share like any parting remarks or comments that you want our listeners to learn or gain from this particular broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, like I stated earlier a couple times, we're in this time where it's really easy to be kind of divisive and to think about our differences. But the whole mission and goal around RAFRU, I believe, is to bring more unity to us as people, to understand that we have way more in common than differences. And, we've all taken this hard hit with COVID, having to deal with these racial issues in our country. And just like I said, one of the most memorable times for me in football was when I took one of the hardest hits I've ever taken. And it's not memorable because of the hit, but more so the fact that I had the ability to get up, but it wasn't by myself. It was from the help of a teammate. He reached his hand down and was able to pull me up. And I think we forget that sometimes, that either one, for us to reach our hand down for someone else, or to also accept it when someone reaches their hand down to help us up. So I think it speaks directly to unity, to perspective, and to how we can all move forward and grow as a people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I hope y'all were listening. That resonated deeply with me. Thank you again for joining us, Matt.
Good stuff. I was thinking about this earlier, how privileged I feel to be able to get to do this, to bring this message to the world, to bring great voices like Bakari's and the other guests that we've had already on the show and those that are to come. This is just awesome. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Over the next 2 weeks, folks, Bakari is going to be responding to comments, questions, and remarks from listeners to the show, and also from readers of his Unity story. And at the end of those 2 weeks, he's going to pick the person he feels was the most impacted, and he or she's going to get to win a free t-shirt or hoodie. Nice. So very exciting. So engage. And now, if you're hearing my voice and you were inspired by this show, please donate what you can to WITV7. It's a wonderful 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Thank you to 84 and 14. This was another awesome show. Bakari, you are the genuine article, my friend, a man that walks his talk. I'm pleased to add your voice, your powerful voice, to our growing chorus at Retired Athletes. Your Unity story gently and effectively takes on the serious and divisive issues of the Confederate flag and passive racism. As I read it, it kind of felt to me like racism with a smile. And you bring the reader to a surprisingly simple rules of engagement that emphasize inclusion and unity over division and hate. It's a great read, folks. You're going to love this one. Thank you, WITV7, for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep sharing stories from retired athletes like Bakari, all of us working together to improve the unity of the world. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of October, Zona Plus and Happy Living. Remember, folks, the more you buy, the more I'll donate. So buy a Zona Plus. It's good for your health. And most especially, thank you to our viewers and listeners. Go to RAFRU.com to read Bakari's inspiring unity story. You'll also find links to websites and social media and all things Bakari Grant. Find him, friend him, discover the important work he's doing to save lives, innovating how we care for our elderly. It's good stuff. Engage with him and get that free t-shirt while you're at it. From Alexis and Bakari and me, we love you and we want you to be united, not divided. We do what we do at Retired Athletes for Radical Unity to inspire you to join our movement to improve the unity of the world one heart at a time. Until next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the 14 and 41 Unity Show. And we're out.
Thank you, Matt.
Black or white, Male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight, what's the difference? Number 14 and number 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. The 14 and 41 Unity Show.